But we never, not only do we not have that conversation was literally banned. Now, it's in the guidelines of most of the big social media companies. You can't have that conversation. So I would make a couple of points. And the most obvious one is any country that doesn't allow a free discussion of the process by which its leaders are elected is not a democracy, by definition. A country without free speech is not a democracy. Free speech is a prerequisite to democracy. You can't have it without it. You can't have a dinner party without dinner. You can't have a democracy without free speech. Period. So there's that. So whatever you tell me, and by the way, it's so interesting, and narcissists are this way, the projection involved. It's like whatever it is they're doing, and I mean at a precise level, is exactly what they accuse you of doing. You're attacking democracy. Really, I like democracy. Democracy would give people without money and without a TV show some voice in how they are governed. Therefore, I'm for it. And they want exactly the opposite. So the middle class in America, which has been not the majority since 2015, an anniversary that nobody noticed, has less economic power than it's ever had. That's why Trump got elected, in my view. And now it has less political power than it's ever had. So if you are taking power away from large segments of your population, you are by definition attacking democracy. That's exactly what you're doing. There's no other name for it. So that's the first thing I noticed. In the name of defending democracy, we took away the things we need to have democracy, which is our core freedoms guaranteed in the Bill of Rights. Just as in our war for democracy, we are supporting a government, paying for the entire government that has banned opposition parties, put opposition leaders in jail, shutting down free speech, now shutting down an election, and putting dissident priests in prison. It's such a democracy they don't have elections anymore. That's how pure a democracy it is. But the second thing, and what's I think more applicable to this conversation, I learned, is that their response was the tell. If you want to know what they care about, if you want to know what's important, listen to how they respond when you say something unapproved about it. So if you were to, I don't know, write a post on Facebook tonight and say, I think Papua New Guinea is the most powerful nation in the world, you would get not a single response other than someone's been smoking weed again. No one would care. It's like demonstrably untrue. That's why the flat earth people have been able to cruise beneath the radar for so long. Because and by the way, I'm not discounting that possibility for the record in case any are here, because I am an open-minded man. Present me the evidence of its flatness and I will amplify it. But the point is, when something is clearly or very likely untrue, it poses no threat to anyone. What's scary and what will elicit a response are true things. No one is punished for lying. People are only punished for telling the truth. You could literally wake up tomorrow, move to the Bahamas, start a fake cryptocurrency, defraud 1 million investors around the world of billions of dollars. I'm just saying you could do it, and I'm not recommending it. Note to the FEC, not recommending it. But you could do that, and you could get caught, and people might have like a balanced view of you. He's really smart, good guy, got a little over his skis, as we say. But like, I'm not gonna hate on him. Right? We all make mistakes. Like, who here, raise your hand if you haven't defrauded 1 million investors with a fake cryptocurrency. Okay, there are some. There are some. You cast the first stone then. Those kinds of crimes, which is to say actual crimes, like burning down buildings, impoverishing people, starting totally counterproductive wars we can't win that kill a lot of our citizens, leaving the border open so 7 million people can walk across. Those are not small things. That's not all like forgetting to fold your napkin correctly at Thanksgiving. Those are like actually kind of world historic crimes. Never punished. What are the crimes that are punished? Thought crimes. Thinking the wrong thing, having the wrong beliefs, saying unapproved words. And those words are always true. They are always true. So when you hear somebody, and by the way, it's so hard to know what's true. I mean, often, to the extent I ever talk to people, which is fairly rarely, no, but like, going through an airport or something, I hate the news. It's all so dishonest. Where do you get your news? And I always try to be honest and say I don't get any news. I don't read any news. Are you joking? I haven't had TV in like decades. I wouldn't read the New York Times at gunpoint. I don't want that in my head. Do you know what I mean? It's like worse than porn. It's horrible. And it's just bad for you. You don't put untrue things in your head on purpose. So how do you know what's true? Well, that's a great question. And in fact, it's like the only question really in life. And the honest answer is you can't really know because you're not God. And so I think it's super important to approach everything with the requisite humility, acknowledging that these things are very complicated and you can't really know. And at some point, probably the second you die, you will know. And that's definitely the upside of dying, in my opinion. But in this life, you can't, and you're never going to, and you're a lunatic if you think you can imagine the future or divine the precise truth about anything. Because you can't. And by the way, anyone who thinks he can is likely to become Mussolini. Like, that's a bad path. If you wake up in the morning and think, I'm the only person who possesses the truth, you are clinically insane. So seek help. But within the bounds of our abilities as people, you can get pointed in the direction. Where's the North Star? You can get there. And how do you know? And it's really simple. Who are the thought criminals and what are they saying? What are they saying? They're saying crazy things like the water's turning the frogs gay. What a crazy person. Let's make him pay $1 billion. Water's actually turning the frogs gay. That's true. Turns out. Years later, they tell us. Turns out it's true. Yeah, it's actually true. I'm not endorsing any specific person's theories about anything. But I am telling you that the people who censor your words and thoughts this is one thing I'll say about them, they have a very precise and well-calibrated sense of what's important. They know. These are not frivolous people. They can smell like your dog can smell. Like your parents could smell in high school if you smoked a Marlboro. They know what's important. They don't waste any time in the unimportant stuff. And so I would honestly say a lot of the debates we have, and certainly a lot of the ones that I've engaged in, probably diversions from the things that really matter, honestly. And that may account for why every time I was out of the country last week and I came back and I was like, I've got a duty to be up on the news, read all these texts, and like everything I read is like a new height of insanity. I'm like, that is the Mount Everest of lunacy. It can't get any crazier than that at all. Breastfeeding men or whatever. We're gonna give back Nebraska to an Indian tribe that no longer exists. We're not doing that, by the way. Omaha's safe. But I'm just saying, every one of these stories enraged me. And of course, that was probably the point. I really believe that the exponential growth of totally irrational claims by the other side, things that no sane person could, beginning with men can give birth, but there are 1 million of them, that these claims are actually designed to take people like me and send us off into a screaming fit so we don't notice that actually they're looting the country. I think that. I don't think there is a single member of Congress, except like maybe the dumbest, maybe Ocasio-Cortez or something, but the normal ones, or semi-normal ones, grading on a curve. I don't think there's a single Democratic member of Congress who cares at all about trans rights. I don't think there's a single one who thinks men can breastfeed, because not one in history ever has. Quite a bit of evidence to the contrary on that claim. I don't think they believe it. I really don't. And by the way, it's super important to push back against them and to call them crazy, because they are. I'm not saying a retreat from these things at all. I'm merely saying if they throw a story in your face that's so nuts that you can only growl like a dog in response, they're probably doing that on purpose. And you should probably look around and ask yourself, what are the topics that no one's even pushing back on? What are the topics that their response is so ferocious that people are like, I don't want to deal with it? One of them is the war in Ukraine. Another's COVID. And, of course, the third is January 6th. And you have to ask, why is that? Well, it's not by accident, trust me. There is a reason.